Hello, my creative friends, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Prompt. This is still the awkwardly named status update Saturdays. Yeah, that's definitely going to change at some point along the way. What we do on Saturdays, or what we're doing at the moment on Saturdays, is I'm giving you a bit of a status update for the independent film studio that we're trying to build, for the film project that's going to kick it all off. Maybe the status of sort of where we are with all of this. One of the reasons for this, it's not just sort of a throwaway episode. Really, it is to inspire you, to help you to see that these things take time. And if you give yourself a sort of reason and purpose for capturing where you are on your project, identify your own status update on your way towards your target. It's going to help focus your attention more clearly on what that target is, and it's going to help you actually follow through and get to it. Because if you just randomly say, I want this thing, right, and you start to take a little bit of action toward that thing, and then you check in every day, or you come back and you sort of watch it progress, or you see what the new video is, see what the new step in fast screenplay is, see what the new tips are on your favorite blog, whatever. If all you do is that, it's very easy for it all to slip away. It's very easy for it all to really just become a theoretical thing. It's a goal. One of the little side note here, one of the things that I've been fascinated by, I've been interacting with screenwriters or would-be screenwriters for the better part of 20 years now. And I often wonder if writers want to write screenplays or if they want to have written screenplays. I wonder if you want to actually do it or if you kind of just want to be done with it, right? Like you want to snap your fingers and it exists. I think the challenge of writing, the challenge of anything within this space is that, yeah, we all wish we could snap our fingers and have it done. If I could snap my fingers and have my ideas turned into viable screenplays, I wouldn't have any need for screenwriters. The hard part is in doing that. So really, on to a real degree, you have to find the joy, find the fun, find the drive in the doing of it, rather than the thinking about what's going to happen when it's done. Because it's kind of like when I was an actor. It's like when you're an actor in LA and you're going on all the auditions all the time, you audition so much and you don't get enough things along the way that at a certain point, you just have to pretty much enjoy the auditions. You have to enjoy the process of doing it. You do it, you sort of put it out of your head. If you get the job, cool. Kind of like with writing a screenplay. You do the very best you can. You enjoy the process. If you make the deal, cool. If not, you're working your muscle. You're flexing those skills, that talent. You're developing yourself. And so along the way, your work is presumably getting better and better as long as what you're doing is focused and targeted toward continual improvement. Anyway, so the point is, if you record your status update every week, if you join me here in Status Update Saturdays and really take the time to say, where am I? How am I progressing toward my ultimate goal? If you really do that, it's actually going to help you far more than it might seem, or than I can possibly put into words at this point. So, quick little sort of status update for where we're at. One of the things we did this past week, we've changed the way that the writer's room is working. Originally, we had 6 to 8 different projects. Everyone was sort of working on their own project. We would bring those projects to the Monday sessions. We would sort of talk about where everybody's at. We discuss the different projects. If there are suggestions, or I have notes, or I can offer help or help develop and steer those projects, we ultimately can get each of those writers further along. One of the challenges that we've had, because as you may or may not know, depending on how much of the show you've watched, the writer's room that we have going now is our first writer's room. It's our first test group. There are 8 people in it. They're all working on their own projects. They're all contributing to everybody else's projects. We're sort of feeling it out, determining how this is all going to work. we're going to be starting with a project that I'm spearheading in large measure to take the pressure off of the other writers, so that if it all bombs and crashes terribly, I can be the one to blame, so that we saved them a little bit. There's another project that will hopefully be into production shortly thereafter. There's a third project that will hopefully be in production shortly after that. And we have two other projects, one that I think will probably be ready by that point, and another two that we'll see how they're progressing. Now, one of the challenges is, because we're all sort of, it's the nature of development, we're moving at slightly different paces. Some of us are struggling to find some of the writers are struggling to find their story, trying to find the right way to sort of harness it and capture it and tell it. And so what we've decided to do this week is, because I really do want to try to get into production this summer, basically northern summer, I really want to make sure that this project is ready to go. And so what we've decided to do is, we've decided to, for our weekly sessions, we're entirely going to focus on this project. So we have a almost like a group project that we can all focus our attention and energy on. And then each week we'll discuss all the story details and all the story structure and the characters and the choices that we make, and everybody can sort of throw ideas in, and we'll sort of refine from that. So our first session was this week. I think it's going to be a much stronger way to at least initially do this. I think that can then serve as a basic framework and template that we will then apply to the other projects as well. So in that way, it can bring us together, I think, more as a writer's room group. So we're not sort of off each focusing on our own different projects. We're all sort of working together on that project. So I have, at this point, a lot of optimism that this project is going to come together, that it's going to be pretty cool. I think over the next 2 months, as we further develop and refine this project, I think it's going to become a really tight little story. Very specifically being developed for the no budget nature of it. So part of what we talked about this week is that because I'm basically creating a story that's relatively complicated, that's designed to engage intellectually, that's designed to be something that is going to be confusing and intriguing. You're going to want to put the pieces of the puzzle together, in part so that we can draw you in despite the budgetary limitations, which is one of the things that I'm going to recommend to anybody making low and no budget projects. Don't make a no or low budget project that would be better made with a budget. Because if you do that, all you're doing is highlighting the no budget nature of the thing. If you can make something that works in its own right, in its own way, that will engage people despite its limitations, that's when you're going to create that thing that's going to stand out. That's when you're going to create that thing that people will get drawn to, and then ask you what else you've got. Right? So that's where we're at with that project. As far as building the indie film studio, there hasn't been much in the way of volunteer. So there hasn't been much in the way of signups to that. So we're sort of limited on what we can hire, which basically means that this whole this daily vlog thing is probably may need to slow down. I've had a couple of personal and family things pop up this week, which have made me sort of really consider, should I put this on hold simply to focus on those things for the short term? Is it possibly even better to focus on not doing the daily prompt for now, while we don't have the volunteer videographer, editor person who can do that? At this point in the process, I really had thought that 2 months into this would gain some traction. We'd have a lot of people interested in helping out. We'd have somebody jump forward and put their hand up and say, hey, I'd like to help you out. Or 2 or 3 people, we could split the workload. That's not happening so far. Fair enough. I think maybe just people need to see the end result of it before they're going to raise their hand and say, I want to be a part of that. That's unfortunate. Misses that tiny little window that we talked about in a much earlier episode. It's ignoring the invisible opportunities. But, it's the nature of the beast. Most people don't see the invisible opportunities. That's why they're invisible opportunities. Most people miss the tiny little windows because they are tiny little windows. So at this point, it's possible that I may be putting the show on hold for a week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks. Not sure yet. I have to sort of see how the rest of this week plays out, and how the week ahead plays out, and how all the moving parts. Probably over the coming week, we'll probably have some episodes for you. The week following that, maybe a little sketchy. We may drop off in the middle of the week. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But if any of that happens, it's merely so that I could focus on the immediate emergencies and the immediate sort of other things that are pulling my focus that I don't have time for, because I'm doing this because we don't have volunteers or the funds to pay someone to do this show. So we will definitely continue. We will definitely be back. If we do take that pause, this is only a short-term thing. At some point, this show is not going to be me here with this. This show is really going to be almost like a behind the scenes of building an independent film studio. We're going to be out in the world. We're going to be filming things, have the show about filming things, have the people who volunteer to help out as people featured on the show doing these things. So I have a very clear vision of how to do this. It's not coming together the way I thought it would. So that means we adapt, we adjust, we modify a little bit. So the week ahead, 2 weeks ahead, 3 weeks ahead, the month ahead, we might be in for some changes, might be in for some non-video uploaded dates, but we will see. I'm going to try to do as much as I can, as quickly as I can, and we're going to keep moving forward with this. Tomorrow's episode, I'm going to do my personal vlog entry. I'll get into a little bit more of sort of what's behind it and all that sort of stuff, if you're interested in those kinds of things. But I did want to say that for the status update, that's kind of where we are with this project right now. This project, it has huge ambition, has a very clear vision, has a very clear roadmap to that ambition that requires people, money, resources that either need to come from the community by way of volunteer, or have to come from the bank account by way of hiring. And so to prove prove the concept, to demonstrate the point that I'm saying to you, that this can all be done you can start all this with basically nothing. In order to demonstrate that, I'm wanting this to grow organically. If it doesn't quite work out that way, it doesn't quite work out that way. But that's where we're at this week. So where are you at this week? How's your project coming along? If you've been with me from the beginning, how much have you taken action every single day? Have you been cheating along the way? Have you been, I'll do it tomorrow. The further you push it off, the further you wait, the less action you take, the further the goal is. You're just pushing the can down the road. It's why I always lament about people not joining Fast Screenplay. It's like, the further you wait, the further you push that down the road. So, okay, your choice. We will get there. Hopefully you'll get there with us. Hopefully you'll record what your status update is today at this point, so that you can keep track of that as you go along. And whatever you do, have fun this weekend. Take some action if you can, if you want to. It's the weekend. It's your choice. You can do what you like. But take some action at least 5 days a week, so that you can continue to move forward towards your goal. I thank you so much for watching us on this Daily Prompt episode. Hope to see you tomorrow. And if not, we'll at least see you on Monday. Thanks for watching.